Okay, so you're learning English. Have you ever felt that initial, burst of excitement start to wear off a bit? You might have all the fancy apps, maybe you're even in classes, but actually staying motivated, practicing every day, it feels like a real slog sometimes.
Absolutely. It makes you wonder, is there something more to getting fluent than just, memorizing words and rules?
Exactly. And that's what we're digging into today. We're doing a deep dive based on a really insightful article one of you shared.
Yeah, it focuses on something pretty fundamental. How things like self-discipline, self-development, and personal growth are actually the key ingredients for fluency.
Right. Not just optional extras, but the real drivers.
That's the idea. So our goal here is to unpack that. We want to show you how these three sort of inequalities work together.
And maybe give you some practical ways to, build them up on your own English journey.
Precisely. Think of it like understanding the hidden engine behind language learning. What really makes progress stick beyond just the books.
Okay, let's jump right in then. We hear these terms tossed around: self-discipline, self-development, personal growth. What do they actually mean when we're talking about learning English?
Good question. Let's break it down. Starting with self-discipline. It's not really about forcing yourself into misery.
Right.
It's more about building the ability to do what you need to do for your long-term goals.
Yeah.
Even when, you don't really feel like it in the moment. Resisting impulse.
So it's like a muscle you train, not something you're just born with.
Exactly. It's about choosing your future fluent self over, say, watching another cat video right now.
Okay, yeah. Like an athlete showing up for practice, even when it's cold and early.
Perfect analogy. For an English learner, this could be really simple stuff, like committing to 10 minutes of vocabulary review daily.
Or pushing yourself to actually speak, even if you're nervous.
Definitely. Or just sticking to your study schedule instead of, putting it off.
It reminds me of that quote from James Clear in Atomic Habits. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. So each little study session is like casting a vote for, I am an English speaker.
That nails it. Self-discipline provides the structure, the consistency. Yeah. Without it, progress is just sporadic. It's the foundation, really.
Okay, foundation laid, consistency. Got it. What about self-development then? How's that different?
Right, so self-development is more about becoming a smarter, more effective learner. It's the active process of figuring out how you learn best.
So it's not just doing the work, but doing the right kind of work for you.
Exactly. It's about improving your learning strategies, understanding your own strengths and weaknesses. It's learning how to learn English more efficiently.
So give me an example.
Okay, well, maybe you notice just listening passively isn't cutting it for your comprehension.
Right.
Self-development means you actively look for solutions. Maybe you find transcripts, or you start pausing and repeating, or you look up unknown words while listening.
Or figuring out why you stumble over certain sounds and then researching pronunciation tips.
Precisely. It's also about managing the emotional side, like dealing with frustration or embarrassment when you make mistakes. It's very active.
Sounds a lot like Carol Dweck's growth mindset idea, believing you can get better with effort and the right strategies.
Absolutely connected. Self-development puts you in the driver's seat of your learning. You're not just following a plan, you're constantly tweaking it, improving it based on what works for you. You become more resilient.
Okay, so we have the consistent effort from discipline and the smart approach from self-development. Where does personal growth come in? That sounds bigger.
It is bigger in a way. Personal growth is, it's the deeper transformation that happens through the process of learning. It's about becoming a better, more expanded version of yourself.
So it's less about the specific English skills and more about how learning changes you as a person, your character, your perspective.
Exactly. Think about it. Pushing yourself to speak English when it's scary builds confidence, right? Engaging with different cultures through English opens your mind. Overcoming challenges builds resilience. It can fundamentally shift how you see yourself and the world.
Yeah, I can see that. You start seeing yourself as someone who can do difficult things, who can connect across cultures.
Precisely. It fosters open-mindedness, adaptability. Like Stephen Covey said, sharpening the saw, investing in your greatest asset, which is you. Learning English, when you approach it this way, is a powerful tool for personal expansion.
Okay, I like that framing. So if self-discipline is like the engine getting you moving and self-development is the steering wheel guiding you effectively, then personal growth is it the fuel? Or maybe the destination, the view from the mountaintop?
Both, I think. It's the underlying why that fuels the whole journey. It gives meaning to the discipline and direction to the development. And yes, it's also the transformation, the stronger, more capable person you become. It unlocks this bigger world.
Okay, that makes sense. They're not separate boxes, but they all feed into each other.
Totally interconnected. Let's use that mountain climbing idea again.
Okay.
Self-discipline is the day in, day out climbing, putting one foot in front of the other consistently.
Right.
Self-development is learning the proper techniques, how to use ropes, read the weather, choose the best path. It's the skill of climbing effectively.
Got it.
And personal growth. That's the strength you build, the resilience you gain from facing challenges, the incredible perspective you get from the summit, seeing the world differently.
So what happens if one leg of that stool is wobbly? What if you lack one of these?
Well, if you lack self-discipline, your climb is going to be really stop-start. You might have the best gear, know the techniques, but you just don't climb consistently. Progress is slow, frustrating.
Makes sense.
If you lack self-development, you might be climbing hard every day, lots of discipline, but maybe you're using terrible technique, wasting energy, taking dangerous routes. You're working hard, but not smart.
Okay. And without personal growth?
Then you might just give up when it gets tough. You lose sight of why you're climbing. The motivation evaporates because you're not connecting the effort to a bigger sense of purpose or transformation. You don't see the value beyond just reaching the physical top.
That really clarifies how they depend on each other. Can we walk through a couple of real English learning scenarios, show how they interact?
Sure. Let's take daily speaking practice, a common goal.
Yeah, often a scary one.
Right. So self-discipline is simply committing to speak something every day. Maybe it's just 10 minutes with a tutor or recording yourself talking about your day. Just doing it.
Okay, showing up.
Self-development comes in when you think about how to make that practice better. Or you just repeating the same phrases. Maybe you try shadowing native speakers, or you learn phrases for disagreeing politely, or you actively work on reducing filler words like you're refining the skill of speaking.
And the personal growth.
That's the confidence boost you get when you successfully navigate a conversation. It's feeling less anxious about speaking. It's maybe making a new friend through a language exchange. It's seeing yourself as someone who can communicate in English. That's a big shift.
Okay, I see it. What about something less interactive, like tackling difficult grammar?
Good one. Discipline here is setting aside focused time, no distractions, just you and those tricky verb tenses or prepositions.
The hard yards.
Yep. Self-development is how you approach it. Are you just rereading the same confusing explanation? Or are you seeking out different resources, YouTube videos, grammar websites, maybe a workbook with exercises? Are you trying to teach the concept to someone else to check your understanding? You're finding better ways to learn that specific thing.
Right. Experimenting with the learning process itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the personal growth comes from the satisfaction of finally getting it. That feeling of, wow, I figured out something complex. It builds intellectual confidence and reinforces the idea that you can tackle challenges.
Okay, one more. Hitting a plateau. We all face those moments where it feels like we're stuck.
Oh yeah, the dreaded plateau. All three are crucial here. Self-discipline keeps you going through the motions, maintaining your routine, even when you don't feel like you're improving. You don't quit.
Just keep showing up.
Right. Self-development is where you actively diagnose the problem. Why am I stuck? Am I only practicing reading? Do I need more listening? Should I try a completely different method? You research, maybe get feedback, adjust your strategy.
You become a detective of your own learning.
You do. And personal growth is about cultivating resilience during this phase. It's understanding that progress isn't always a straight lineup. It's developing grit, sticking with it, and believing you will eventually break through. That perseverance itself is growth.
It really does sound like the core of what Angela Duckworth calls grit. That passion and perseverance fueled by the growth, driven by discipline, and navigated by development.
Couldn't have said it better myself. They're the engine, the map, and the fuel for that gritty journey.
Okay, this is all making sense conceptually, but how can someone listening right now actually start building these? Let's get practical strategies.
Yes, let's.
Yeah.
Starting with self-discipline. How do you build that consistency muscle?
Yeah, where do you start?
My biggest tip, start ridiculously small, like almost laughably small. James Clear calls it the 2-minute rule.
Okay.
Your goal isn't study English for an hour. It's open my English textbook or log into my language app, something that takes less than 2 minutes.
Ah, so you lower the barrier to starting?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Getting started is often the hardest part. Once you've opened the book, maybe you'll read for 5 minutes, maybe 10. The key is making the initial act super easy.
Build the habit first, then worry about duration.
Precisely. Another big one. Create a routine. Schedule your English time like it's an important meeting. Put it in your calendar. Protect that time.
Treat it seriously.
Yes. And try habit stacking. Link your new English habit to something you already do automatically, like after I brush my teeth, I will review 5 flashcards. Or while the kettle boils, I will listen to 1 minute of an English podcast.
Piggybacking on existing habits. Clever?
It works. Also, track your progress visually. Put a calendar on the wall and cross off each day you do your tiny habit. Seeing the chain grow is really motivating. Don't break the chain.
That sense of momentum.
Minimize friction, too. Make it easy to practice. Keep your flashcards by your bed. Put your language app on your phone's home screen. Reduce the steps needed to start. And finally, just practice showing up. Even if you only have energy for that 2-minute version, do it. Reinforce the habit.
Okay, those are really concrete steps for discipline. How about fostering self-development, becoming that smarter learner?
Right. First, just adopt the mindset. Become a student of learning itself. Pay attention to what works for you.
Be curious about your own process.
Exactly. Experiment. Try different techniques. Flashcards, mind maps, immersion, talking to yourself, watching movies with subtitles, without subtitles. See what clicks.
Find your flavor.
Yeah. And try to identify your learning style, roughly. Are you very visual? Maybe mind maps and videos work well? Auditory, podcasts and music? Kinesthetic? Maybe acting things out or using physical flashcards helps. Tailor activities a bit.
Makes sense.
Seek feedback. This is huge. Ask teachers, language partners, native speakers, how does this sound? Is this natural? And be open to what they say, even if it stings a little. It's gold.
Gotta leave the ego at the door.
You do. Learn to manage your emotions around learning. Notice when you feel frustrated or embarrassed. Acknowledge it, but don't let it derail you. See mistakes as data, not disasters.
Easier said than done sometimes.
True. Also, connect English to your passions. Learn about things you love in English. If you love history, watch history documentaries in English. If you love cooking, find English recipes. Makes it way more engaging.
Use English as a tool, not just a subject.
Yes. And finally, reflect regularly. Maybe once a week. Just jot down what worked well this week, what was frustrating, what could I try differently next week. That constant adjustment is key.
Okay, that's a solid toolkit for self-development. Now, embracing personal growth, how do we actively lean into that?
This one feels a bit more intrinsic, but you can definitely encourage it. Number 1, intentionally step outside your comfort zone regularly.
Like ordering coffee in English, even if it makes your palms sweat.
Exactly. Or asking a question in a group chat, or trying to explain something complex. Small acts of courage build that resilience and confidence.
Okay.
Reframe mistakes.
Okay.
Actively practice seeing errors not as failure, but as, okay, that didn't work. What can I learn from this? This builds that growth mindset we talked about.
Turn setbacks into setups for learning.
Nice. Also, reconnect with your why. Why are you learning English in the first place? What doors do you hope it will open? Remind yourself often. Write it down. Visualize it. This fuels the journey.
Keep the bigger picture in mind.
Definitely. And celebrate the small wins. Did you understand a joke? Did you use a new word correctly? Acknowledge it. Pat yourself on the back. It keeps morale high.
Don't wait for fluency to feel good about it.
No way. Embrace the identity. Start thinking of yourself as an English speaker, even at an early stage. Someone who is learning, communicating, connecting. See yourself that way.
Fake it till you make it, kinda?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And use English to actually connect. Read news from different countries, watch films from other cultures, talk to people online. Let it broaden your world. That is personal growth in action.
Wow. Okay. So it's about being intentional with discomfort, mindset, motivation, and connection.
You got it. And maybe some quick stories make this even clearer.
Yeah, let's hear them.
Okay, imagine Maria from Brazil, very shy, works in a library, dreams of traveling, but is scared to speak.
Oh, okay.
Her self-discipline starts tiny, listening to 5 minutes of English radio daily. Self-development. She discovers shadowing, repeating what she hears, really helps her pronunciation and confidence. She tries text chat first, less scary. Personal growth. She answers a tourist's simple question in English at the library. It feels amazing. This builds, she joins a conversation group, eventually books that trip. The language learning unlocked her confidence.
Love that, overcoming that shyness. Okay, who's next?
How about Kenji, an engineer from Japan? Great grammar, reads technical papers fine, but freezes in conversations.
No, I'm in challenge.
His discipline was already there for study, self-development. He focuses on listening to natural conversations, learning phrases for initiating small talk, practicing paraphrasing instead of translating in his head.
Shifting the focus.
Right, personal growth. He had to learn to let go of perfectionism, to accept making small mistakes for the sake of communication, valuing connection over correctness. That unlocked his fluency.
Embracing imperfection. Got it. Another one.
Aisha, an architect in Egypt. Super busy. Feels like she has zero time to study.
Relatable for many.
Her self-development was crucial, finding tiny pockets of time. Listening to a podcast on her commute, reviewing flashcards while waiting for meetings, changing her phone language to English.
Integrating, not adding huge blocks.
Exactly. Her self-discipline was sticking to those small moments consistently. Personal growth? She starts participating in international project calls, feels more connected professionally, sees herself as part of a global field. It boosted her career.
Shows it's possible even with limited time. Last one.
Diego, a university student in Spain, gets easily discouraged, thinks I'm just bad at languages. A fixed mindset.
The internal barrier.
His main journey was personal growth, consciously working to adopt a growth mindset, reading about it, challenging his negative self-talk. Self-development followed, learning resilience strategies, breaking tasks down, celebrating tiny successes.
Building that inner strength.
Right. And that improvement in mindset and resilience actually boosted his self-discipline. He started sticking with practice longer because he believed it would eventually pay off. He overcame his own limiting beliefs.
These stories really drive it home. It's the whole person involved in learning.
It really is. The language skills are almost a side effect of this deeper process of growth, discipline, and smarter learning.
And you mentioned some books earlier that tie into this. Might be helpful resources.
Oh, definitely. Worth recapping quickly. James Clear's Atomic Habits, fantastic for the nitty-gritty of building self-discipline.
Got it.
Carol Dweck's Mindset, essential for understanding that growth mindset, which fuels both self-development and personal growth.
Right.
Angela Duckworth's Grit really digs into that perseverance aspect, linking passion and persistence, tying into discipline and growth. Cal Newport's Deep Work is great for developing the focus needed for disciplined, effective study. Part of self-discipline.
Good one.
Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Read. Now, maybe surprisingly, can help with managing the anxiety and frustration that often come with learning, keeping you focused. That's self-development and growth.
Interesting connection.
And Maxwell Maltz's Psycho-Cybernetics, a classic on self-image, how seeing yourself as capable impacts your ability to achieve goals. Huge for self-development and personal growth.
Wow, quite a reading list. And maybe reading them in English could be a goal itself.
Absolutely. If you're at that level, it's great practice. Or read them in your native language. The concepts are powerful either way.
Okay, so even armed with all this knowledge, strategies, great books, people are still going to hit bumps in the road, right? Plateaus, frustration, losing steam.
Absolutely inevitable. Learning isn't linear.
So how do these three pillars, discipline, development, growth, help navigate those rough patches specifically? How do they keep you going?
Okay, let's take that plateau again. You feel stuck. Self-discipline says, keep doing your daily minimum anyway. Don't let the feeling stop the action.
Maintain the habit.
Self-development says, okay, why am I stuck? Let's analyze. What am I doing? What could I change? Let's experiment with a new technique. You actively troubleshoot.
Become proactive.
And personal growth reminds you, this is normal. Learning involves challenges. I've overcome things before. My goal is bigger than this temporary block. It provides perspective and resilience.
Okay, what about when motivation just vanishes? You just don't want to do it anymore.
Discipline is your safety net. My routine says practice now, so I'll do the minimum, even if I don't feel like it. It carries you through low motivation.
Right.
Self-development asks, why is motivation low? Am I bored? Do I need more fun activities? Am I not seeing progress? You investigate the source of the low motivation.
Dig deeper.
And personal growth connects you back to your why. Reminding yourself of the exciting reasons you started learning English can reignite that spark.
Find that purpose again. Makes sense. What about frustration with mistakes? Feeling stupid?
Discipline helps you keep practicing despite making mistakes. Self-development reframes the mistakes. This isn't failure, it's feedback. What can I learn? You cultivate that growth mindset about errors. Personal growth builds the resilience to handle the discomfort of imperfection, knowing it's part of becoming more capable.
And feeling overwhelmed. Too much to learn.
Discipline brings you back to small, daily actions. Just focus on the next tiny step. Self-development helps you break down big goals into manageable chunks. You strategize. Personal growth reminds you of how far you've already come, providing perspective and reducing the feeling of being overwhelmed.
So these aren't just nice ideas, they're actually practical tools for managing the inevitable struggles of learning.
Exactly. They are your toolkit for navigating the journey. Maintaining momentum comes from using these tools. Reflecting regularly, adjusting your approach, maybe finding a study buddy or community for support, finding ways to enjoy the process, and definitely celebrating milestones.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Precisely. And remember, fluency is an ongoing process, but the self-discipline, the self-development skills, the personal growth you gain along the way, those benefit your whole life, long after you reach your English goals.
This has been incredibly insightful. It really shifts the focus. So just to wrap up the core message, getting fluent in English isn't just about piling up words and grammar rules.
Not at all. It's really a transformative journey that hinges on cultivating self-discipline for that consistent effort.
Self-development to learn smarter and more effectively.
And embracing personal growth for the motivation, the resilience, and ultimately the person you become through it all.
We really hope this deep dive gives you, our listener, a fresh perspective on your own learning path.
Yeah, see it as an opportunity not just to learn a language, but for real self-mastery.
So maybe just take a moment today. Think about one tiny step you could take. Maybe strengthen your discipline with a 2-minute habit.
Or explore one new self-development technique, like trying shadowing or finding a different grammar explanation.
Or simply reconnect with your personal why. Why is this important to you?
And as you move forward, maybe keep this question in the back of your mind.
How will becoming fluent in English change not just what you can do in the world,
but who you fundamentally become?